I mean, look, you can't deny the rack on her. Christ. Anyway,
I
Brie Larson has come out.
Marvel money to get that.
Mate, honestly, look, I hate I hate what she says, but I like the way she looks. Marvel star Brie Larson says she always reaches out with advice when someone lands a superhero role. It's like the busybody of Hollywood. Like, she's just the busybody of Hollywood, isn't she? Like, mate, you've starred in 2 movies and now, well, several superhero movies, but 2 actual movies where it's just you and, you essentially being the main character. And now you're calling people up. I mean, what are you doing? Why? It's weird. So she said this on some like round table thing for the Hollywood Reporter and was asked about the vitriol you've received from the male-dominated superhero world for playing Captain Marvel. And she says this: I don't know if it's specific to Marvel. I only know my experience, and my experience is being underestimated at times. Shut up. So Larson went on to reveal that she is always the first person to reach out to someone who's been cast as a superhero to offer advice on how to navigate the playing field. Is this just a desperate attempt to stay relevant? So she says,
I've been there. Let me tell you how it goes.
Yeah, literally. Look, I'm the first person to email everybody because it's very specific and very strange. People are like, I don't know how to do this. Yeah, no one does. Why would you? I'll say train, because you'll want to be as prepared in your body as you possibly can, because it only gets harder as the job goes on. Well, look, she finally trained for the last movie because her ass was looking all right. Didn't look good for Captain Marvel. She had a flat butt. She had a butt double. Bo.
Yeah.
Did you know this?
Yeah.
I did see that somehow. Yeah.
She legit had a butt double. Crazy. Anyway, and really understand how to be able to go to the bathroom in your suit. The first Captain Marvel, it was a 45-minute thing to get me in and out of that costume. Weird. It's a whole thing, and it's a lot of pressure. And I think it's a strange thing, especially when you're a newcomer and you're tasked with being the most powerful, blah, 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 blah. And you feel scared. It's so hard to be the cool, confident one when you're like, do I know what I'm supposed to be doing? And then she says, well, yeah, that's it, really. I mean, what? Just Brie Larson, no. Just stop it. What are you doing? You busybody. Like, why are you emailing people this stuff? No one, what? No. It's just bizarre, man. Just such a weird thing to do, isn't it?
Was there anybody emailing her when she got the role? No.
No.
Probably not. Because people kind of stay in their line, do their own thing. You know, that's your job. You go in there, you got hired for it. Now go in and figure it out.
It's just odd, isn't it? It's just really like odd behavior to jump in and be like, oh no, I need to email you. Like, what? But I will say this, I'll tell you what, kudos to her. She didn't mouth off about anyone. You know, so she was asked the vitriol you've received from the male-dominated superhero world, right? But she didn't reply with that. Because Brie Larson has a long history for a short period of time, really, I don't know, just being an absolute douche canoe. And in any interview, being very misandristic and, quite a wretched individual towards men. And there was a distinct change of tact, I think. I can't remember. Was it a Cannes Film Festival? I can't remember what it was. Or was it the Venice Film Festival? Last year, she was doing interviews and stuff and actually came across all right. The latest Captain Marvel film, clearly, directed better, came across much more likable. She's coming across much more likable in interviews, and she's not directing her sort of ire towards the fandom, it seems. Because she was given bait here, right? This is bait. The vitriol you've received from the male-dominated she didn't take it. So kudos to her for that. But still, why are you emailing people? It's weird.
It's funny you should talk about just the general way that actors come across in interviews. Of course, if you're an actor, you should be able to, for an interview, a 10, 15-minute junket interview, you should be able to sort of pretend that you're not completely obnoxious, right?
That's true.
act not obnoxious if that's your job. You're trying to sell a movie, right? And you're an actor. Anyway, or to put it another way, you're deliberately coming across obnoxious when you're really not that obnoxious, which is even weirder if anyone deliberately wanted to do that. You know, like just imagine perhaps Brie Larson isn't actually annoying and arrogant, but she decided to act that way for interviews for some reason, right? And now she's being a bit more like her real self, i.e., just like a normal human being who hasn't.
Could be.
They're obnoxious. Now I don't know either way on all of that, but it's like who's that Snow White? Rachel Ziegler. You know,
yeah,
she's just as bad.
Yeah, right. It's almost as though it was sort of modish. It's almost as though it was sort of stylish. It was sort of the in thing to do, to just come off as like an ice queen and really, really abrasive, particularly towards men. It's like that's not who they really are. Maybe I'm just saying this is a maybe. Maybe that's not who they really are. They're just their agents and their managers, and the studio said that's what we want from you in press junkets, in interviews. That we want you to do that and be like that. And maybe people like Rachel Ziegler and Brie Larson aren't actually really like that. I don't know. Again, I've got no idea. But if they're she's calmed down now. She's not as sort of objectionable as she used to be. Maybe she's just got a bit older. Maybe she's just a bit more comfortable in her own skin. Maybe she's a bit less angry at the world that she's now a multi-millionaire and, you know, got FU money and it just isn't as angry anymore. I don't know.
I just need a couple million to not be a bitch, basically.
Right, yeah. Maybe.
I mean, you know, it's quite possible she never was what she portrayed. I think you're onto something, and I think that's not uncommon in Hollywood. I think Rachel Zegler is not nearly as, you know, detestable as she has been presented in the press. I think part of the thing is the press needs things to write about, so they do take their clips and statements and bits and intentionally farm them for the most radicalized thing they can find, and then when people react to that radicalized statement that they may have taken out of context, which is most likely the case, you know, then they have more to write about. And look, I mean, for a while that can work. I call the things around the various film projects that we've talked about, and probably one we'll talk about here in a little bit. Outrage marketing is a way to go about doing things. But the problem is, you know, the audience is caught on. And so now, if this is something that's attributed to a particular project, people just opt out. People now are very apathetic. They don't trust the press. Here in the States, we've got the worst trust index for press that you've ever seen in your life. And it's just like people are walking away from these institutions. They have no faith, and for good reason. So I think, again, maybe she wasn't quite as caustic as we all thought, but you know what? Money and loneliness can bring about change in people. She has money and she's lonely. So,
mate, she doesn't want to be lonely. She can come to me. All right.
It's funny. It's a very, very short-term strategy, though, isn't it? To be sort of hateful and hated for the clicks, for the views. You know, that's not going to have any longevity in it. You know, if you take the other end of the spectrum, someone like Keanu Reeves, who's sort of roundly liked, and his sort of genuine sort of niceness seems to shine out right at all times, even when like he doesn't even think a camera's on him, he still acts like a nice human being, right? Yeah. He's not going to. You're not going to lose money with that. No management company, no movie project, no studio is going to be losing money because Keanu Reeves is too nice, right? So it's funny. I don't know if it is, like I say, modish or sort of. It's in fashion for some of these female actresses to come across as a complete bitch.
True, no, I think so. I think you're right. I do think you're right, to be honest. I think that does seem to be what it is. Well, there you go. We will